Our total touchdowns, Josh Allen in this game.
Well, Greeny, if Lamar Jackson threw 3 touchdowns against the Dolphins, I'm going to say Joshua has 4. Did you see Stephon Diggs? Are you guys watching that bromance? Like, they're just, that chemistry, they're unstoppable. I think Josh has a big day.
Yeah, he did it without Gabriel Davis on Monday night as well. Then finally, Canty, how about Tyreek? Kmart was there to watch the show he put on the other day. How many receiving yards does he have Sunday?
I'm going to say 90 receiving yards, which is slightly above half of what he's averaging through the first 2 weeks. Listen, this Buffalo Bills secondary lived the nightmare of Tyreek Hill housing the touchdown at the end of the overtime in that divisional round last year. They're not going to let that happen again. They're not going to do what the Baltimore Ravens secondary did in the fourth quarter of that game this past week. So I'm going to have Tyreek Hill 90 yards receiving. He's going to get his, but it ain't going to look like what we saw on Sunday.
All right, to me, there is so much at stake in this game. I want to start with you, Kmart, because you were there, and we actually played back the clip, which was adorable, where you told Tyreek Hill that Tua had the 6 touchdowns. What did that mean to them? The Dolphins are a team, a lot of questions about the quarterback, everything else. What did it mean to them? You were there.
I think that was a statement game. Like, that was a statement game for a quarterback because he came in with so many questions. And Tyreek, before the game, I spoke to Tyreek Hill, and he talked to me about how Tua, everything I've been saying is true. Week 1, we got to witness it against New England, and it will continue. And those 6 touchdowns were proof of what he's saying, that he's an accurate passer, that he throws receiver-friendly balls. But the biggest thing to me was Mike McDaniel saying that Tua actually proved a lot to his teammates and to himself. I think the confidence is his issue, and he starts to press, especially after the 2 miscues early, and to go on and throw 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That is huge for this franchise.
You like them this Sunday against Buffalo?
I think they have a really good chance because Mike McDaniel is a run game genius. This is where he's going to have to figure out how to run the ball. They have an improved offensive line. And the weakness of the Bills' defense, if there is a weakness, is that they're weak at the corner spots. They have young guys out there who don't have much experience. And they are able to protect them with their 2 great safeties staying high. If Mike McDaniel is able to figure out a way to run the ball effectively, it draws 1 safety in the box, and boy, are you in trouble if you have 2 young corners out there trying to run with Waddle and Hill. It could get ugly fast. It could be a shootout. They're able to do that. In that Miami Heat, the Bills have not played in a game like that yet.
Look, I mean, and not only are they playing in the Miami Heat, but they also are on a short week on the road, right? They play Monday night. Now they go on the road to play on Sunday. That would be quite the statement. We're all sitting here anointing the Bills as the greatest team in the sport and one of the great teams that we've seen early of all time. What would the statement be if the Dolphins go down or come down there and beat them?
Well, they would be the team to beat in the AFC East.
They would be.
I think they would be.
That's
the statement that they could potentially make. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. We'll have to see about the health of Micah Hyde, who's a really important piece to that Buffalo Bills defense. But the reason I'm bullish on the Bills being able to neutralize the passing attack for the Miami Dolphins is the defensive front. Like, we're lauding the offensive line for the Miami Dolphins, and rightfully so, but they ain't seen nothing like Von Miller, Greg Rousseau, Boogie Basham, and A.J. Epinesa. They got tons of pass rushers that they can come at you with in waves. So that'll be the interesting thing to see. Can that O-line hold up so that Tua can get the ball to Jalen Waddle and get the ball to Tyreek Hill?
Well, let me very quickly circle back, because we had this conversation a little bit earlier today. We talked, and you did not sound like you were that sold on Tua despite the 6 touchdowns this past Sunday. Why?
I'm not. I mean, Tua did a good job of not blowing the layups, and what I mean by that is being able to hit open receivers with busted coverages. Listen, man, you can go back and look at the tape. That pass right there to Jalen Waddle, that was high and behind him in the red zone. The other throws that he had to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, that were the long touchdowns, they were coverage busts by Marcus Williams and Marcus Peters looking in the backfield. Neek, you know a lot about defensive back play. Why is Marcus Peters looking in the backfield when he's in man-to-man coverage on the fastest player in the NFL? Please explain that to me. You have a 3-touchdown lead going into the fourth quarter. The only way you can lose is by letting Tua throw 4 touchdowns, and they let it happen. That's not going to happen every single Sunday. That's why I'm not buying into him from a 6-touchdown performance.
You can't leave a game when a man throws for 469 yards and 6 touchdowns and try to criticize him.
That pass, I'm not criticizing. I didn't criticize him.
No. That pass to Waddle had to be high. There was a linebacker right there. The pass to Gesicki. Like, those are the things that make the difference. difference. I'm with you. When there's a breakdown in coverage and you hit a wide open person, okay, we don't have to give you a bunch of credit. But when they needed that game-winning touchdown, they doubled Tyreek Hill. He threw it high and behind Waddle to keep him away from the safety, threw it high to get it over the linebacker. There's a pass that had to be there. The touchdown Gesicki seemed like it was too high, but he knew Gesicki could get there. Like, that's the accuracy stuff that I think makes Tua special. He anticipated these opportunities and hit them there, which is why you don't want to see them if you have to match up those receivers in man-to-man. And he can miss 5 throws a game, but if he hits 1 or 2 at the right times to those guys, it might be 6.
The interesting thing is I talked to Calais Campbell heading into that game, and he said, Tua, we have got to make it so that he can't see. We have to get in his face. And Tua's talked about being a little short and how sometimes those passing windows aren't clear, right? But Tyreek said safety play is so important because I love having Jalen Waddle with me because I know that we can break off a home run play at any moment, and I'm getting favorable matchups because people have to watch out for him, and safeties have to know how you've got to take care of both sides of the field when we're out there. That is a difficult task, and I know the Buffalo Bills have a very good defense. When you're talking about not having White and you're talking about Micah Hyde day-to-day with a neck injury, like that, I still think the Bills will win, but I don't think that the Dolphins have no shot at beating them.
All of that stuff doesn't matter if you're talking about the Bills' defensive front and being able to get to Tua.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
The Ravens were confident they could do that too.
No, we weren't. The Ravens are bringing in JPP this week for pass rush help. We're not confident in that.
The 2 guys on the edge are a problem. You can't guard them. If you double both of them, then you have Gesicki up the middle. But the reason why the front may not be as important this week is because of the play-action game in the Shanahan history and the zone blocking. The Titans are a power rushing team. That matches
is always a mistake, and it keeps happening every single year in our business. You know, there's some similarities to last year. Get blown out in week 1, play a division opponent week 2, go on the road week 3 against an opponent that is going to be favored, and we're not expected to win. And we need a Herculean effort to go down there and get the dub.
All right, so that's an absolutely accurate assessment. You can't argue with a word that he said. They did turn it around last year. We'll see if he can do it again. The schedule is eerily similar to what they were last year. They are right now a slight underdog on the road. And, oh, by the way, I mean, Tom Brady right now, in the absence of Mike Evans because of the suspension, might actually have far fewer weapons at his disposal this Sunday than Aaron Rodgers does. But what did you say to me in the meeting this morning about this game?
I think it's a statement game for the Packers. And we think about Aaron Rodgers when we think about the Packers, and I think we feel like they don't have anything to prove because of Aaron Rodgers. But this team feels like an entirely new team. The offensive line isn't as great as it was. We've chronicled the receiver issues that they've had. And right now, I think not only do they need to prove it to us, they need to prove it to themselves that they are as competitive a team as we hoped that they would be. And that defense played better last week against a lesser offense, but that is the real question. That's where we thought that they were going to step up and take some of the slack off of Aaron Rodgers, that the defense can stop an opposing offense. They're going against Tom Brady with the depleted receiving core. This is an opportunity for them to have a low-scoring game and then put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands at the end of that and hopefully overcome that outstanding Tampa defense.
Canty, I feel like you've been skeptical about the Packers this year. What can they prove to you Sunday?
They can prove to me that they can be productive offensively against a championship caliber defense. Right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the best defense in football. They're the best scoring defense. They have the highest defensive EPA. They have the most sacks in football, and they're third in turnovers. This group can get after it. If this offensive line can hold up and keep Aaron Rodgers upright, then I think that Aaron Rodgers can make some strides in terms of being on the same page with those receivers and being able to generate points. But that's a big if, and there are a lot of question marks, and I don't know if they're going to get solved. We thought that Elton Jenkins coming back to that offensive line on Sunday was going to be a great thing for them. Turns out he was a turnstile and led to a stat game for Travis Gibson. So that offensive line has got some serious problems. They're allowing the 5th most sacks per dropback, despite Aaron Rodgers having the 4th fastest snap to throw time. That's a problem.
Yeah, they haven't gotten David Bakhtiari back yet. They do expect to at some point. What do you think, Kmart?
I am actually shocked. Dominique, who comes on here and always tries to act like he's the voice of reason. Oh, what are you guys talking about? Leave that guy alone. Now all of a sudden, Dominique's like, Aaron Rodgers needs to prove to me and the Packers need to prove to us that they're a good team and they can make the playoffs. I don't know. I'm shockingly, I'm kind of like on Aaron's wavelength. Like, okay, it's week 3. You know, like, this is a team, given their division, I'm not really worried about the Packers. I'm really not. Like, they could go down to Tampa where Aaron Rodgers, for whatever reason under the sun, he does not play well in Florida. Like, he's 3-5 in the 8 games he's played in Florida. And since 2020, He's 0-2 and thrown 4 interceptions.
It was ugly the last time he was in Tampa.
I don't know why this guy who never throws interceptions, when he hits Florida, suddenly he doesn't know where his receivers are.
Explain yourself, Foxworth.
I don't get it.
I mean, I can explain myself. I can't explain how Kimberly characterized me. I did not say Aaron Rodgers needs to prove anything to anybody.
You said to us,
I said
the Packers.
I said
yes.
this team. This is a statement game for this team. This is not the same team that we've looked at the last couple. Yes.
When you have Aaron Rodgers as your
yes.
quarterback, it's a statement game.
Absolutely.
In week 3.
So week 1 was rough, and it was rough because of the reasons we expected it to be. Week 2, they beat a team that no one thinks is going to be competitive, and this roster is not the same roster. So I believe that they are going up against a Super Bowl contender. They need to show that they can be competitive against that team.
But to
they did
Aaron's
it last
point,
year.
To Aaron's point, they started the season similarly. They made it to NFC title game, right?
Because they won that game. That game was a catalyst
they did.
for
They
them.
went. They beat San Francisco. Yeah.
That's the point I'm making.
But
This is the same. I'm agreeing with Aaron.
My point is, this week 3 to me is not the statement game.
It's okay to say you messed up.
No,
It's
I
okay
don't.
to say
No, I didn't.
I'm
In
wrong.
week 3,
My
I don't
bad.
think it's a statement game. I think with Aaron Rodgers, you're already looking at, okay, we're going to the playoffs. Like that's your mindset. So you're not thinking week 3 has to
But
be
it's
a
about what you
statement
do
game.
once you get to the playoffs, though, right? We're not judging
In
the Packers based
it's
on their
week
regular
3.
season.
If this is
They've
week
been
11,
with Matt
week
LaFleur.
12,
They've won
talk to
13
me.
games every regular season. It's about what you do once you get to the playoffs, and the Bucs are going to be one of those teams that they could potentially match up against. And I'm sorry, the last time they saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs, it was in the NFC Championship game. It did not go well for Aaron Rodgers and company. So that's why I agree with Dom, even though that's an uncomfortable place to be, in terms of
It's
this
real
being a measuring
uncomfortable to be
stick, a measuring stick game for Green Bay.
Maybe if you're Rodgers, while they played on Sunday night, it was actually Monday night that made you feel better than anything else. Maybe the Vikings aren't as good as they looked against you in week 1. And so to your point, maybe the division is the best thing they have going for them. We'll have much more on that as we continue. But we got really interesting college football games this weekend. In fact, we have 3 ranked versus ranked matchups coming up, including number 20 Florida visiting number 11 Tennessee. College Game Day will be there for that one. Florida has won 16